Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome to the Morning View. Transfer View has been crazy. It's back to the Morning View. Listen, Man United, yeah, bad one. Bad one. I know how everyone's feeling in the comments. Not going to shy away from it. I've had it multiple times. DMs going off, messages going off, phones going off. Told you, Flex, hold that, Flex. This, that, and the other, all the positive people. Where are you now? It is already turning into that. It's going to be a big show. There's a lot of opinion. You can see a lot of you in the comments are angry. A lot of you in the comments are done. Even some of the staunch backers of Ten Hag, of what's going on, I put myself in that camp, have been severely dented and humbled. And it shouldn't even be at us and them, but just there's clear divisions there. And it's clearly going a certain way very early in the season. So we've got a lot to talk about in this show. Super big opinion going on. Joe Blackman says, I'm still stressed. I don't blame you, Flex or Owen, says top player. It's not about blame, is it? Our players are just so weak, says Talis. Down earlier today, says YKK. Hold that, I want tears, says Sean. Not going to get tears from me, but yeah, definitely I hold that situation. Where do we begin, Owen, to unpick everything? First of all, actually do drop a like for turning up.
The algorithm.
Yeah, the algorithm. Yeah. Where do we begin?
Well, we can look at some of the quotes, I suppose, coming out of the game yesterday from Erik Ten Hag. Because naturally, the more that the game went on, you started to think post-match, didn't you? You know what I mean? You start thinking past the 90, and you start thinking he's got some big questions to answer here after the match, and certain selections, a certain setup. Because that was the thing I think yesterday as well, is there was a general feeling of resignation, wasn't it? It was a general feeling of resignation, not in the sense of like, oh, everything's with doom and gloom finished, but it was just like, this is going to be a really long season, actually. And actually, some of these signings, like I saw some of the discussion about, oh, well, we needed Ugarte yesterday. And I already feel quite bad for Manuel Ugarte, actually, because he's not going to fix that. Going in midfield, you get around better than Casemiro, obviously, and maybe you won't make those mistakes. But still, fundamentally, how the team was set up yesterday, particularly when it comes from a midfield perspective, was entirely wrong, wasn't it? Entirely wrong, and that's the biggest concern. When it comes to some of the quotes, as I mentioned, Erik Ten Hag after the game, he said, I think our start was okay. We make a big mistake, but they were so clinical. Great finishes. All 3 goals are great finishes from Liverpool, I have to say, which even that you could push back on with a couple of them. We'll talk about Andre Onana a bit later on in the show. He says the first 2 goals you cannot change. When you make such mistakes against a good team like Liverpool, they will kill you. He also said on subbing Casemiro, it was tactical because we were 2-0 down. The midfield was open and we needed legs. We brought a young player in, but he has legs. And if that's not damning on Casemiro, 5-time Champions League winner Casemiro, he got hooked at halftime, and the manager after the game has literally come out and said, we brought on a kid who's barely ever played in the Premier League before, no experience, just because he can run around and the other guy can't run around anymore. I mean, that is damning. Simple. Absolutely damning when it comes to
it's damning, and it's true. It's really, really true. And it's damning on him in terms of Casemiro, because he had probably the worst game of his career in one half, one of anyway. It's damning on Erik Ten Hag. It's embarrassing for Erik Ten Hag how Arne Slot has come in, dissected his tactics, and did that. And also the fact that
that clip of him after the game, basically, where he was sort of just laid out Manchester United's problems, and he said, "I saw that after 3 games or 2 games. I saw that."
Yeah, and you've got nowhere to hide. You've got nowhere to hide. And listen, I'll be honest. I couldn't give a shit about he said, she said, I told you so. I couldn't care less. Honestly, I couldn't care less. This whole thing is not about winning or losing for one-upmanship. I've never been You go with what your heart thinks. You go with what your head thinks. And if you get proved wrong, you get proved wrong. Got no problem. I always hold my hands up when different things happen. It is still very early in the season. Of course it is. It's an international break, but I ain't going to sit here and do the whole like, oh, you said because you've backed him, Flex. Flex doesn't want to call it as it is of what he saw. Total embarrassment and very, very worrying signs. And you're in front of Jim Ratcliffe doing that, head in hands. And the people who, not just a Man United fan, but a Man United fan with a say and money, who's put the decisions into the football club. Keep doing that. Ten Hag will get sacked. It's that simple.
That's
that simple.
That was the feeling also yesterday, wasn't it? That obviously last season, Ten Hag was almost protected in essence because of the stuff that was surrounding the club,
Correct.
right? With Ineos not being confirmed, and then when they were confirmed, you waited to be ratified, and then by that point it was like February, and you go, wow, you just got to kind of wait to the end of the season. You got to wait to get your people in as well. So in essence, he was kind of protected in that regard. And I did see again yesterday the general sentiment is, and it's wild that we're already saying this, but we're doing that thing again where we're going from like international break to international break. You know what I mean? So already you're looking at the fixtures he's got post international break, and that first one after the international break is Southampton away, 12:30 kickoff, and you think to yourself, if he doesn't get a result in that one, I mean, he's already under massive pressure. If he doesn't get a result in that one, he is under exponential pressure. And you're looking at that period of games, if it's like mid-September to like mid-October. And in there, you've got like, I think it's Palace away, yeah.
Palace
Spurs
away,
home. Spurs
Villa
home,
away.
Villa home. A couple of Europa League games there as well, Twente and Porto. And you're looking at it going, he needs to be near enough perfect in that period of time. Not completely perfect, but near enough. He needs to pick up some serious points on the board. Because I think if we get to like November time, and this is what Gary Neville said yesterday, and it's true. If we get to November time and he's not in and around that top four, even if he was like sixth, he'd probably get away with it. But if he's not in and around that top four sort of race by like November, then I doubt that Ineos will pull the trigger. I do not doubt that.
And one thing I will say again, I don't want to hide away. I'm not hiding away from any of this. We shouldn't actually. Anyone who's been positive, we shouldn't hide away from what we're seeing, and that's what I will definitely speak up for. It's like, the people who were saying that we're just the same, and what you're getting excited about, still shit. You're still rubbish, mate. They're right. There's no other way of dressing that up. The early signs point towards that being a true statement, because with what we're seeing, you wanna move on. We want to move on from last season, right? And last season was so bad, you literally draw the line under it and say, right, that's last season. Don't keep going back to that. But the problem that you have now, which is where the ball is in Ten Hag's court, if you see the same things off the back of the most horrendous season you've ever had, and it seems like it's a continuation, you've got massive, massive problems. Massive problems. Because already it does not feel to me like Ugarte will come in there and fix that tactical setup. Like no one player, Prime Kante, can't fix.
That's what I'm saying. I feel bad for him.
Like the way he wants to attack. The way he wants us to set up, the way he wants us to be. It's all wrong. It's all wrong. And one thing is, you want to get behind the boys. You want to be positive. You go, right, well, let me just draw a line. I'm not going to have any negativity. But when you physically see that with your eyes, you can't argue against it. People are saying he's clueless and making silly decisions and the team has not progressed. We look worse, if anything. And you're getting new managers coming in all over the gaff. You've got Fabian Herzl at 31 coming in and picking up where Brighton left off, if not better. You've got Arne Slot coming in from the same league as Ten Hag with a similar type of stature. If anything, a little bit less of a reputation than Ten Hag when he get a much bit less reputation in terms of what he's done and how his Ajax team was looked at versus, how Arne Slot's teams were looked like, etc. at Feyenoord. But he's come in, absolutely schooled him. And you have to take the humbling. It's that simple. It is back to know where you are.
With Arne Slot. And again, this is where it's like it's a two-pronged problem. So you get into the setup of Erik Ten Hag they're not working it. Like particularly again, midfield yesterday. When they got that offside goal at the start, you went, that's a warning. Cobby just gets spun. They've got loads of space. Play it in by cut back. Luckily, Mo Salah's offside. Get away with it. But when it came to Arne Slot, if he came in with some of those Man United players that are there right now and said, "Oh, this is how you got to pass. You got to pass and move. You got to pass and move." Some of those players can't pass. They can't do it.
No
They actually
technical
can't do
ability,
it. The technical ability in that Manchester United side is horrifying
It's on
at
the
certain
floor.
points. Because what's mad, again with that game, is first 20 minutes. I know 20-minute FC, but first 20 minutes, like I win the ball back in like these high areas. You got to tell you what, you got a good opportunity here. They can't pass the ball. They cannot pass, and it's everyone. And actually, sort of some of the better players at passing the ball in the first sort of 20 minutes were like De Ligt, were Mazraoui, Dalot, and eventually the team is so bad technically that their levels start to come down.
It spreads like an infection throughout the whole thing.
They start getting infected by it. Like you look at obviously Casemiro, the mistakes he made, but Bruno Fernandes, he's your captain. So many opportunities in the first 20 minutes. You're going, right, you've won the ball back here, make the right pass. Wrong pass every single time. Same with, it was Garnacho, or it was Rashford, or it was whoever. None of them. Xerxes, my God, in the first 20 minutes, he must have lost the ball. If it was Casemiro there, Xerxes might have been there. And then it's weird because when you talk about the players individually like that, it sort of all adds up, doesn't it? And then you go back to the system and go, but the system is completely flawed too. So it's just everything. It couldn't have been a more sort of devastating defeat, could it? It couldn't have been a more devastating defeat in the sense that everything felt wrong. Everything
Absolutely.
felt horrifically wrong.
Everything.
And a goalkeeper can't save shit. He literally can't save it. His positioning, and obviously I'm not like terrible pro keeper, but his positioning from a cutback is horrifying. When the ball's on the other side of the pitch and he decides for some reason he has to fly past his near post. So when the ball comes back into the box, he's so far away from his far post, is completely maddening. And then with Salah's goal, the third one, not even really in the corner. It's not even really in the corner. Just get it on target and it will go in. And then again, you just have to then circle back to it's all in this sort of weird house of cards that's been built by the coach, and everyone has to take responsibility for it. It's just horrific, absolutely horrific
from start to finish. And again with Onana kicking it out as well, distribution rubbish. That's the thing he's supposed to be good at. I sent you a little screenshot there. I don't know if you could bring it up on the screen, because another thing is what I wanted to talk about is, like you said, like Owen saying, is these players as well, because we're gonna have to slow down a little bit. We're gonna have to slow down a little bit with some of the praise that's coming for these players that we've done. And it's not a matter of flip flopping. It's just calling it as it is. Like some of the defending yesterday was just absolutely shambolic. Like one thing is a player making a mistake, right? Players make mistakes all the time. Casemiro was having the worst game of his career, no doubt. Giving the ball away, that puts us on the back foot. But there's still second and third phases of play that lead to goals, right? It's not just one mistake. And the negligence of application and attitude and accountability for defenders in certain areas was absolutely shocking. Martinez for that second goal and for a lot of the game as well. Poor. Really, really, really poor. That second goal, even after Casemiro gives the ball away, there's a phase. I've just sent it to Owen. They should never score from this position. They should never score, because there's one thing, your midfielder's giving away the ball, but you're paid to do a job as a defender. Just defend. You're on Luis Diaz. It's only you versus him. Don't mark the space. Mark the player. And what does he do? Just
it's on screen now.
Stop. Look at that. From that is just after Casemiro has lost the ball. Now, you tell me something. Is that panic stationed? You've got your left back about to engage with Salah. You've got Martinez right exactly where he needs to be on Diaz. You've got De Ligt and Mazraoui is tucked back in to come and cover Jota. Then you've got a screen of Kobe and Bruno right there for any late runners. You're in absolutely no danger there. And this is after the disgrace that Casemiro has given away the ball. So when we want to cuss Casemiro, and rightly so, because he's put us in this situation, when you're good defenders and you're an organised team, you're in control of that situation, and the opposition does not score from that point there. Martinez, you stay on your man, and between De Ligt and Mazraoui, you do what you need to do. But as it transpires, which obviously we don't have the video footage, Martinez just ball watches and steps half a yard to a yard, probably a little bit more, off of Diaz, which allows him to have, yes, a decent finish. But what on earth are you doing? Mark the man. You can do it. We've seen you be a good box defender before. But my point is the negligence, the domino effect. So again, Casemiro's having a shit game. Let me forget what my job is too as well. That's what's scary, because one person can have a stinker and it should not be Casemiro. I get it, right? He's so experienced. Won 5 Champions League. His wife's posted it up. We'll get there. But
we've got that, yeah.
But the domino effect in the team is pathetic. The way that they all lose focus, the way that they all lose concentration, the way they all shit the bed. And then it's all right, him going smashing into bloody Diaz later on in the game to give it the butcher and all that bullshit. But do your job first.
Well, I felt bad. I felt bad, honestly, for the defense at certain points. Because again, in the beginning of the game, particularly in the first half, I thought, again, De Ligt and Mazraoui had actually really good games. Really good games. But you watch them and you go like, well, I know what they're having to do here in the game is not sustainable. It's great, obviously, 20 minutes in, go, I tell you what, De Ligt's won every one-on-one. He's won all of his duels. But you go, actually, we're 20 minutes in and he's had like 3 one-on-one duels, like last-ditch tackles. Like, that's a problem. That's a real problem, because once again, the midfield is not there because it's just 2 people trying to cover all of this space, and it's constantly through. And as Arne Slot said after the game, just play through the middle. Play through the middle against United, because even Cobby a couple of times yesterday, he gets spun around. He can't, because he's not the quickest player, so he's not going to get out to players super quick. So Gravenberch can spin him. We know how tidy McAllister is on the ball. It's easy 1-2 passing. And then if you've got someone like Trent, who's obviously really good passer on the ball, he can fire it into the middle of the pitch and give it to those technical players, and they can just spin you. They can play it off 1-2, couple of passes. Next thing you know, they're one-on-one with a De Ligt, with a Mazraoui, and they've got to then do this last-minute defending to try and rescue the team. And then on the flip side, when we do have the opportunity to progress it up the pitch, we do get into a good position. These attacking players, these progressive players, they can't do a simple through ball, or they can't do a simple pass. It's mad. You kick camera as well, Flex.
Dropping everything here. Dropping everything.
But again, it's and that's when you go back to the setup of the team, and also the technical aspect of these players in the team, that the setup's not right, and also the players technically. I mean, but then I don't know how to rectify that with, like, in terms of a player can't pass a ball. You're a professional footballer. The amount of under-hit passes, that, and then you compare it to the Liverpool team. I didn't see many under-hit passes, and they're playing a very, very like crisp passing football through the Manchester United team. With us, it looked like the pitch, and I mean, it was raining at one point, but it looked like, has the pitch not been watered? Has the pitch not been watered? Because apparently we can't pass the ball. We're under-hitting every pass. It's nuts.
Let's get through the super chats, because there's an awful lot. Show says, saw United fans on Twitter saying Slot needs to be humbled for talking about our tactics, embarrassing deflection away from our own manager. Tadani is the latest member of UV Members Club. Big up to you, joining on a bleak day. Welcome to the family. Get used to it. Max says Ineos give him a second chance and he's throwing back in their faces. With poor performance, with poor coaching, bad decisions, it's inevitable he's not seeing out the season. Alex Marmon says Ten Hag will get himself sacked with his actions. Why does Rashford have to start every game and never get subbed off to the detriment of Ahmad and Garnacho? Nathan says Bradley was spot on yesterday. Facts. I'm 100% Eric Ten Hag out. Yep. I see that. Well, obviously I see it. I was there. I did the interview with him. I saw everyone saying, Flex, you got cooked, hold that, this, that, and the other. Bradley was right about a lot of his things he was saying. Obviously, when you're interviewing someone, it's your job to put the potential other side. So it looked like a bit of a stretch, a bit of a leap, but he was talking a lot of facts, absolute facts. Got no problem with that. And actually, Bradley, someone we speak all the time, he said before the game, before we even kicked off, he's like, I've taken pelters for this manager and saying things like it is. And what I will say, it's very interesting how a lot of like people who watch in the comments can literally change the other way as well. I've seen some videos under Bradley saying, oh, why is he saying that? Oh, he's being too harsh on Bruno. Oh, he's being too harsh on this player. Oh, it's not Ten Hag's fault. fast forward a little bit, the kid's stuck with his opinion because of what he sees. And now 90% of the community is going, he's cooking, it's facts. And this is what I mean about people just realizing different things at different times. And it's like, there needs to be this label of like, you hold that, you flip flop, you didn't realize, I realized earlier than you, you're late to the party, this, that, and the other. When in theory, we're all pissed off about our team. I don't care who sees things first versus who's the oracle, who's the Nubian pharaoh who sees things before they all happen, or like it is what it is.
It's point scoring, isn't it? So it's
I couldn't care less about the point scoring. I just want Man United to be good
to win,
and we're not. We're not. And it's like there's loads of opinions you can have, and it is what it is. Joe Fleming says, you saying Bruno and Mainu got no? Are you saying Bruno and Mainu got no technical ability?
Yesterday they didn't. You watch them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying in general, but yesterday no one could pass the ball. You tell me a player yesterday that had technical ability on that pitch for Manchester United and how many passes they were putting together. They were doing it.
Larry says, how many stinkers can Bruno drop before we call out our captain? Or because best signing post Fergie, we can't criticize. Can absolutely criticize. Andy's back says, Flex, I don't want to get personal, but you are. But I'm gonna. All the delusional smack you talk on Talksport about United is pathetic. I hope you get it from all rivals, which we will. You're going to get it as well because you're a Man United fan. Last time I checked. I really think you analyze United through just vibes. Again, we all support the club in different ways. We all see different things. I drew a line under last season and wanted to be positive and would like to be positive. But now I've seen that. How can I be? It's as simple as that. So, last time I checked, Andy, you're a Man United fan as well. And your club's also going through the mud. Is it not? So unless you're happy that we're doing this because you're right, I don't know what point you're trying to make. But yes, clearly I've seen things there.
He did come in yesterday with a super chat. It was like, after the match, he was like, hi, Owen. I hope you're doing well. Just want to see when Flex's fan views coming up on the channel. So he was waiting.
Yeah. So it's more of a me and you thing versus rather than the team.
Yeah.
You're more involved in proving me wrong. Do you want me to just say you were right, I was wrong? There you go. Do you feel better now? Do you know what I mean? Do you feel like the team's going to be better now I've said that? Probably not. Larry says, this is also on y'all that kept defending our worst Champions League campaign and lowest league position ever because of the FA Cup. We used to laugh at Wenger getting fourth and winning the FA Cup. Disgrace. I just don't get.
I don't get this.
It's on you.
Narrative.
This is your fault.
I had this yesterday. I had this yesterday after the game too. What we start doing as well in moments like this is it's all of each other's fault. You know what I mean? We start the infighting starts again.
Rather than the team, the players, and the manager.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the fans. It's the fans who want to believe in their team. It's their fault.
It's the fans who want the team to win. You know what I mean? It's a bit, that's the kind of part of it that I don't get. And again, I think that goes back to the point scoring thing. And maybe look, ultimately, it's almost like it's just people's way of dealing with shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some people's way is just to say nothing, head down. Some people's way is to lash out. Some people's way is to lash out at the people this way as opposed to that way. You know what I mean? That's the way it is. But I don't really subscribe to the thing of like, see, it was this fan. It was this fan's fault. It was this fan's fault that picked the team yesterday. That was what it was. You know what I mean? I don't really.
And I'm not. Listen, I'm not a perfect character. There's going to be a game that will probably tip me over the edge. Usually it is this one. The fact that it's only the third game is probably the reason why it's not. But don't get it twisted. I'm not. You've seen it before. You've seen me before. After Palace, after 7-0, after Chelsea 4-3 last season, Ollie when it was Watford away, Leicester away. Jose when we got stuffed in his last game at Anfield. I've been there, and I will be back there soon at some point if this carries on. I'm not gonna, but right now, this is just how I see it. But at the end of the day, I ain't got blinkers on.
Well, people were pointing out that this start is eerily reminiscent of Jose's last season. Yeah. You know what I mean? Playing on a Friday, with a late winner against Leicester, against Fulham. Second game, a loss against Brighton. Third game, a 3-0 defeat. Jose, it was Spurs. Ten Hag, it was Liverpool.
Yeah.
Area
there you go. Sanjeet says it was really bad. They took pity on us at Old Trafford. Yeah, Sabrossai refused to score at one point. Flex's right mentality, weak players and manager. Yeah, he should have just shot first time. It would have been 4-0. They just wanted to walk it in and score the perfect goal because they had the luxury of being able to do that. They did absolutely take the piss out of us. Andy says, by the way, a lot of the chat appear to agree with me. So yeah. I don't know what you want me to say, Andy. I really don't.
Flex, it's your fault. You went on radio and you said something positive about Manchester United. You bloody fool. Okay.
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you say something positive about the manager? Bear in mind, at the time, if you said something negative, they'd say, "Get this negative Nelly off the radio waves."
Oh, it's talk shite. It's talk shite, and everyone talks negative on TalkSport about Man United. There you go. Man United fan proceeds to go on and try and defend it.
You've sold your soul. Corporate Fleck is what it is.
Yeah. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Your fault you picked the team yesterday, Flex. How dare you?
Exactly. Dominic says, we have blamed players for years, for 3 years from Ralph. Eric has a team built for him. Even Eric's own players looked awful. We keep tiring out players with wild transitions and then wonder why they can't pass. Eminem says, under Ollie, we falsely said give that team to a real coach, they'll win. I genuinely think that should be said for Eric Ten Hag. Faith is dying with Eric Ten Hag. Ahmad says, I would like to officially apologize to Troy Superstar. Remember him. Matty Farley says, Eric Ten Hag not taking blame or accountability is a big problem. Constantly throwing the most trophies after City to us. It's facts, but context is needed. We're shit. We'll get very shortly to Eric Ten Hag's comments after all of these super chats here. Gnedrify says United fans that are trying to be high and mighty because they called out Eric Ten Hag, all the players first, is pathetic point scoring. We all support the same club. Stop. Black Sheep says, Flex, at least we were smart to know Eric Ten Hag is inept. Well done, you're smarter than me.
One super chat goes to point scoring, and then the next one goes, yeah, you're right.
That's it. Well done. Well done. You got there
that's
first.
Where it's at the moment. That's where it's at the moment.
And then when you admit, like you said, as soon as you admit that these people were first and they were right, it's automatically given us more points, hasn't it? It's automatically fixed the shit. Imran says, FA Cup Casemiro dropped. Now he's playing again, and the midfield looks shot. Also, Manu has no legs. The two can't play together. International says, not surprising. Fan base divided. Eric Ten Hag in and out. Yes, what always happens. Sulai says, we need to sack him on this international duty as well.
That was pathetic yesterday. Eric Ten Hag said he can't make it better. I'm fuming to my bones. This is not acceptable.
Not acceptable. Not acceptable. Yeah. Nubian Pharaohs come straight through. Sean Collins says, it's a manager's job to instill confidence and have a playing style. 3 years later, we are still scratching our heads in style. And VK, been a member for 26 months, big up to you, says it was not as poor as fans made it. A few players, no preseason, and Liverpool team been together for a few seasons and stronger bench. Be patient and judge at Christmas.
Do you know what Kenny said about it yesterday?
Poor, terrible defending.
That's what he said.
I mean, he's not wrong. No. He's not wrong. Copy and paste, then take it from something else he said and just apply it to this.
Yeah. Or to be honest, even Eric Ten Hag.
Stupid.
That's what it was.
I mean, we've got nearly 2.5K watching live. 484 likes. Drop a like. 488 likes. Drop a like for the channel. Support the channel. Big up to everyone watching. Big up to all the opinion coming in. Let's get to Eric Ten Hag comments. Because again,
yes, we got some more.
You tried to be positive. You tried to back the man. And I have done that. And I have to hold it because he says stupid shit.
Yeah. He does indeed. As I mentioned, he spoke previously about saying our start was okay and saying you can't make those mistakes. He spoke about subbing Casemiro. He also said it's clear Liverpool deserved the win. We have to be humble, take this and improve our game. Now, he was asked on whether it feels the same as last season. I think if you ask quite a lot of the fans, they would say it does feel quite the same. But Ten Hag said, I don't think you're right. You can see the XG. We didn't concede as many goals. I don't think we are in the same pattern. It was sometimes open and we took risks. But I don't want to talk about this after a 3-0 defeat to Liverpool. Well done, Liverpool. We have to be humble and take it. He also said, "I know where we will be at the end of the season. We will go for trophies." And then he was asked by a journalist saying, that is maybe the problem his coaching and not the players. And Ten Hag said, "You are sure? I don't think so, or you wouldn't win trophies like we did and to beat big opponents. I'm sorry for you. After City, we won the most trophies. I'm sorry for you," is what he said. Flex.
Hell, man. And this, right, I'll be honest, like, hands up, guys. That's clueless, mate. That's clueless. Like that, like there's siege mentality and there's being positive in front of the media to back yourself. And then there's delusion. I cannot defend that. I even said to KG on the way up before the game, I felt uneasy with the saying the thing after Pep with the trophy thing beforehand in the lead up to this game. And when you get slapped like that, to keep going back to that, it's pathetic. Like, you're just looking like you have no idea. You're making yourself look really, really silly. And I don't know why he's doing it. Like, just come out and call out how shit we were. Stop talking about the trophies that we've won. Because the problem is yes, as fans, we can say, listen, it's been shit, but okay, we got a couple of trophies. But even me, when I'm excited and say, they're not top-rate trophies. We haven't won the Champions League in the Premier League, so shut up and hold that. We've won the Carabao Cup. We've won the FA Cup. Fantastic. I was there for both. It's brilliant. Like, you should celebrate trophies. But when we have adversity, you can't keep refraining back to that. When in the 38 games, which is your bread and butter, you're getting slapped every week. It doesn't make sense. It's not just a deflection. It's delusion. And when I'm trying to back Eric and I'm trying to have some positivity, those are the things that they do make anybody backing him look stupid. They do make anyone backing him look like they don't know what they're doing and just having blind faith. Because when a manager comes out and says that with his players now, nowhere to hide, we've got him pretty much everything he wants. This is Eric Ten Hag's team. Martinez is not injured. De Ligt is in there right next to him. Mazraoui is in there. Onana is in there. Kobbie Mainoo and Bruno are in there. Marcus Rashford, who's this guy, is in there. We bought Joshua Zirkzee because we scouted him and said he's going to be good. We need him. Is there. Garnacho, we all called for him to start. Is there. Casemiro, okay, he's finished. But, Dallo was saying he's good. The team is there. But then when you say shit like that, you can't, there's nowhere to hide, mate. You just look clueless. And people who want to say he's a fraud and he's this and he's that, what's he saying? He's deluded. How can you argue against that when he says things like that? That's what annoys me. I don't know why he keeps saying that.
Well, people, like as many people pointing out with him this season, and again, I think this is even the staunchest backers. They said, he's got to deliver this season, wasn't it? He's got to deliver this season. There is no excuse. Now, the only thing he can hold on to at this point in time, isn't it, is that, well, it's only third game of the season. There's a lot that can happen. But I think on the flip side, that's the worry for some fans, isn't it? Is that they'll go, it's only third game of the season, and we're talking like this. He is. When I saw those comments yesterday,
I feel sorry for you,
and people were like, I can't believe he said that. In all honesty, I wasn't surprised that he said that because he always says mad shit after he loses. He always does.
It's not a new one.
It's not a new one. There was
the thing where I feel sorry for you.
That thing when he said Flex, when he was last year, before he was getting sacked for the FA Cup final, he came out and started cussing all the media, saying, I win trophies. I don't care. If I get sacked, I'll win trophies elsewhere. That's what he does afterwards. We should be surprised by that because that's what he does. On top of that, he said the thing about the Harry Potter thing. I'm not Harry Potter. People go, I can't believe he said that. He said that phrase at least like 3 or 4 times whilst he's been Man United manager.
Harry Potter all the time as well. He knows it a lot. That's what it does mean.
But he said that phrase loads of times. I'm not Harry Potter. He did it about Rashford before. I think he did it another time where he basically can't work miracles. But the point is with that, when him saying like, I'm not basically a wizard. I'm not a magician. I can't just magically fix things. But as many people will point out with that, they'll go, yeah, but a wizard it's not as if you've been here overnight. You know what I mean? We're not asking you to fix things overnight. The point being is in season 3, that kind of result, when you've got a lot of your players through the door, shouldn't necessarily happen. And I saw people going into the game yesterday going, it feels like a quite defining game this, because
especially if you lose
you're
bad
at home against your rivals, against a guy that you know very well. It's not as if it was an unknown entity. And actually, the game went quite similar to the game in pre-season, really. You know what I mean? If the first 20 minutes you tried to press them quite high, it actually worked a little bit. And then after that, they just started playing through us, no problem. It was the same as pre-season, and it was the same result as pre-season, 3-0. So that's, and then it's, Gary Neville mentioned this on commentary too. Like, you get to the end of the game, stadium, there must have been like 40,000 people left in that stadium, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was empty. And as they mentioned, when you've got Jim Ratcliffe and the entire, INEOS delegation, or the new Manchester United leadership team sitting there, exactly, they're looking around going, holy shit. And towards the end, it didn't even feel like a derby game anymore. Like, it didn't. And
they took pity on us.
And that was from like 50 minutes on. When I was doing the match, I was sitting there going, there's no intensity now. The game's done. It's over, and it doesn't feel like. And credit to the fans.
Credit to the fans.
Credit to the fans, because even when we were 3-0
down,
down,
a harder game than we did,
and Xerxes like heading at Alisson or missing chances, they were Stretford and were still willing it to be like, go on, give us something, we'll try. But they just didn't give anything. And again, that's when you get back into, you can focus on the manager, rightfully so. You can focus on the tactics, rightfully so. You can focus on any individual, and rightfully so. And that's when you go, all of it, that's just... Yeah. And from those football leadership team that they were sitting in the stand, they must have been thinking, we just spent 200 million on this. We're fucking miles off.
Miles off. And the thing is as well, the players that come in, it's like you look at what Liverpool have got, and this is the God's honest truth, yeah. The gap in quality of player is just massive. Like, it just is. Like, left back to left back, Mazraoui versus Robertson. Dalot to Robertson. Like, Dalot's like good. He's all right. Like, he's not traditional left back. I get it. So it's a bit of a disparity there. Van Dijk and Konate, and then you got obviously Lisandro and De Ligt. Like, it's not anywhere near. You look at the right back.
Well, it could be that one. It could be. Yeah. But again, as a central defender, how can you defend if it's wave after wave of attack every 5 minutes? You can't do that.
You're losing your focus. Midfield. Again, Casemiro and Kobe and Bruno, like, it's just the way that McAllister and Szoboszlai and Gravenberch now, who's getting in, they just play better. It's chalk and cheese. Then you look at the potency of the front line. And actually, this is something I wanted to talk about now, because actually, bro, when you look at our front line, I'm looking at us, I'm like, we can't hurt anybody. Because now what's happened is, as well, to move Sancho on was the right decision. I stand by that, because it had collapsed. But what has actually happened is you've lost the body. And now what we've done is we are actually extremely light and putting a lot of pressure on Garnacho and Ahmad. Well, there should be a lot of pressure on Rashford, but let's be honest, he's done, mate. He's done. Like,
did you see when he did the one-on-one with Konate, and then he
just
going past him, he just tucked back?
Yeah, I mean, some people on the net have said, listen, he's done nothing wrong there. He's just, kept possession, stuff like that. However you want to see it. But just even in general, Owen, like, let's just put our hand on our heart. Do I think Rashford's going to turn this around? No, I don't, mate. Then you've got Xerxes up front when they've got a killer in Jota. Obviously, there's no point talking about Salah versus Garnacho. He's a young kid. And he's a Premier League Hall of Famer, Salah. So that it's chalk and cheese, mate. It really, really is. The golfing class, Alisson to Onana, like it's so far.
Alisson, Andre, Onana. That's not even a conversation.
That's not even a conversation. It's just by default. Luckily, they play the same position. Is the only thing you can say they do the same. But like it's scary. So you've got that, and then we now look like we have a coach who can't organize them to mask that golfing class, because that's what really good coaches do, and to look competitive. And for far too long, we didn't look competitive. Like I said, Ipswich gave them a better game in 45 minutes at Portman Road. Yeah, you can say it's context, it's first game of their season, they ran around and they ran out of gas, and Liverpool still had the same outcome. But it forced, the way they played forced Arne Slot to make a change to get in his bag. What did we do? We allowed them to be in first gear, gave them 3, because they only had 3 shots on target.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like they didn't have to.
We didn't. They didn't have to.
that was the frustrating part too. Is it's not like I'm not going to be like, oh, Liverpool weren't the better team, because clearly they were the superior team. But like for those goals as well, and for other chances, we might as well just said like, here you go, have it, like, have it.
Win.
It's not like I remember a couple of times, even when Liverpool beat us 5-0 and with Ollie last season, when they were like playing round us, and you come out of it and you go, they're just way better than us. We're rubbish. What can we do? But even like, yes, it was more disappointing with that was like you said, they were the better team. We just gave them the ball, gave them goals, and said, there you go. And by the way, if you miss this one, it's offside. We'll give you another one. we'll give you another one. And I mentioned it when the moment that offside goal went in, that was like, wow, that is a massive warning sign. A normal top team would go, right, got away with one, got to, get back together now. Flex has disappeared. Get back together and react to it. And we didn't do that. We didn't do that at all. Flex has done his best impression of The Undertaker. I think he's the best impression of The Undertaker. He's had enough with your comments. He can't handle it, and he's disappeared. Hope he might come back. You never know. It was really dramatic, by the way. That no, where was The Undertaker gone again? No, that was really like, and just vanished. We'll see what happens with that. Let's get to some of these super chats here. Where did we get to? I think the last one was VK. Godson says, it's like these fans think the universe would have changed if Flex said something different on radio. I don't get it. Okay, you're right, G's. Flex says, my internet has cut out again, for F's sake. Flecknology. It wouldn't be the return of the morning view without a bit of Flecknology, would it? And people think I make it up. Maybe Flex will return with his internet. Joe Fleming says, why do people say Maino has no legs? He's 19. I don't think people say he has no legs. I think the thing that they're saying with Cobby is he's not the quickest player or most mobile. And in that system, again, he's going to get exposed. Anyone will. That's why I say I feel sorry for Ugarte. People think this idea that you're going to pick up Manuel Ugarte, drop him in that team, and we're going to be exponentially better. Maybe he doesn't make the mistakes Casemiro makes yesterday, but that system still is doomed to fail in that regard. Michael says, face it, no coach or manager will fix the shit with this club. Just accept it. Sack Ten Hag or not, it ain't going to be fixed. Live with it. Larry has been a member for a month, says, I hate the Maino has no legs discourse. The distance he has to cover every game is ridiculous. He has to keep running back and forth like it's the NBA. Fraser D is the latest member of the UV Members Club. Welcome to you, Fraser. All Elite says, I've said it for a while now. Our front line is weak and inconsistent. Garnacho, Ahmad, and Xerxes will be inconsistent, and Rashford is Rashford. Worrying. Fraser D, just joined the Members Club, says, we were piss poor. Why were the players playing like the ball is a fireball? How can we control games when no one wants to hold on to the ball and make decent passes? As I mentioned, the passing yesterday, particularly when the game was at 0-0 and you've actually got, and again, that's the frustrating thing, they don't count as chances, but they were so frustrating. I mean, if you watch the match view here, I was losing my mind on some of the short passes. It was just incredible. Joe Blackman's been a member for 16 months. Big up to you. He says, the most concerning thing about yesterday is the fact Liverpool didn't even have to try that hard to win. Exactly. That was the point I was just making. That, and you want to be careful what you say, because it's not like, Liverpool, they're a rubbish team. Clearly they're not. But it was the fact that they didn't really have to try, because you don't have to try that hard when the opposition you're playing isn't that good. And two, they'll give you every opportunity to score. Like, you will see, to Flex's point, like Ipswich or any of the newly promoted sides or any of the sides that are battling relegation won't be making some of the mistakes that Manchester United made yesterday in terms of the way they're trying to sort of play, or short passes, or lack of being ruthless up front. That was what was so concerning. Discombobulate, what a name. It says, Slot changed the game when United were on top and pressed Casemiro, then Maino. Ten Hag didn't adapt and got outthought by the opposition manager. And Fraser D also says, Ugarte won't solve this problem. It's structural. That's kind of the point that I'm making. I think, obviously, he's going to improve. He puts tackles in, but, you're looking for like prime N'Golo Kante to cover that distance. And even he would probably struggle to cover that kind of distance and try and make as many interceptions and tackles as he could. So it's a structural thing. And that also yesterday, But this is the other part of it too, is on paper, initially, it looked like we were going to be going back to the 4-2-3-1, but we didn't. That was still the 4-2-4-4-4-2, whatever you want to call it. Because if you saw our possession in the first half, it was Xerxes and Bruno at the top playing alongside each other. So this new system and tactic that was meant to kind of save Eric towards the end of last season has now got the same faults and problems that were there previously. And again, that's also a massive concern. Joe Fleming with the super chat says, you went through both teams and rubbished all the players you've hyped up. Now you're saying Dalot, De Ligt, Martinez, Menu, and Bruno are rubbish. Well, Flex was saying player for player. I pushed back on that a little bit because I'm saying, again, with the back four, I felt sorry for the back four. I mentioned this a lot yesterday. I felt sorry for the back four, not Andre Onana, but I felt sorry for the back four because I actually think for the beginning of the game, certainly, they did okay. Flex's point for maybe the second goal, I appreciate that one. But as a defender, as a centre-back or a full-back, again, you're winning one-on-one duels, that's great. But if it's going to be constantly every 5 minutes, every 5 minutes, every 5 minutes, every 5 minutes, you're going to lose some of the duels. You're going to lose them. If it was the Liverpool defense, the defenders that they've got with Van Dijk or with Trent or with Andrew Robertson or Konate, if they were having to defend one-on-one every couple of minutes because the ball was constantly coming through, they would lose. They would concede the goals too. As a defender, you're looking for protection from your midfield. It shouldn't be that easy to play through. And then on top of that, when they do make it past your defense, you're hoping that your goalkeeper can save a shot. Andre Onana can't do that. He cannot do that. He cannot save a shot. And there are some days where he does make saves, and that's great. But in those big games against those kind of teams is when you need your goalkeeper to shape up. And it felt like yesterday, in all honesty, from a Liverpool point of view, they should have just said, get the shot on target. Get the shots on target. It'll go in. So like I say, I felt sorry for the defense. I thought they were just horrifically exposed yesterday because they've got no protection. I thought De Ligt and Mazraoui and Dalot in the first half, Martinez maybe could have been a bit better for the goal, did the best that they could. But any great defender, if they're constantly getting exposed, that's all they can do. It's all they can do. And then from the goalkeeper's point of view, again, his positioning is just so all over the place. It is horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. Again, the second goal, I won't put too much criticism on Andre Onana for that one. It's a good finish. I'll put more criticism maybe on Leach to get closer for him. The first goal, I know people will say I couldn't do anything about that. From a goalkeeper's point of view, I'm telling you, his positioning is horrific for that first one. Why, when that ball, they're going to cut it across and he goes so far past his near post to the point that he cannot get back to his far post. You should be thinking ahead in that scenario. You go, right, they're going to put the ball across goal. Can I get across to my far post in time? Can I get out to the middle of the box if it's high up in the box that I can claim it? If you're so far in that direction and you're going to scramble to get past it, all they need to do is just get it anywhere near the far post and it's in. As a goalkeeper, think ahead. Think ahead. Where's your position? What's your position like? For the third one, as I mentioned, it's not even that much in the corner. It's just... It's madness. And I'm not doing the whole so you blame Onana for the first one. I can see it in the chat there. Blaming Onana. What about Dalot? What about this? What about that? We can do whataboutism for all of the players and the manager and the structure yesterday. We can. But I'm saying from a goalkeeper's point of view, that is not good enough. Not good enough at all in terms of a positioning. It is mad. So more super chats here. Did I do? Where did I get up to? It was Sanji, I think. Our ball playing goalkeeper is adding nothing to us. Puts his foot on the ball, then thumps it out of play or up the pitch. Saves nothing. Cam ? Fraser D said, "When will Onana ever win us a point?" John says, "Onana is a huge problem again this season. His positioning and shot stopping are dreadful, and his distribution is just as bad." MN says, "Comparing players with Liverpool doesn't make sense. They had a much better setup that let them thrive. Put Rashi and Garnacho in the Liverpool team and they will thrive. Put Salah in ours, he'd fail." I think that's also a good point too. And that's what I was kind of mentioning early on about Arne Slot, that I think with some of those players, genuinely, if he asked some of those players, all right, you got to pass the ball, like this, some of them can't actually do it, like genuinely, because some of the passing yesterday was just horrifying, absolutely horrifying and infuriating, especially when you feel like you've done all the hard work. You know what I mean? You've done the hard work of winning the ball in a high position. You've done the hard work and winning it high up the pitch. And then just to do a stupid pass. There was one point where I think Bruno, he had like three passes he could make. And he tried the really difficult one. Of like bending it round to get to Rashford, and he passed it too short. Where he could have just passed it on the overlap, or he could have just gone himself. Or that one earlier when he passed it to Xerxes, and Xerxes didn't think he was going to pass it to him. That just summed Manchester United up yesterday. Summed United up. And summed Bruno up. From a captain's point of view, he went missing, absolutely missing. And all he did was give the ball away at certain points, which again is absolutely horrifying. All of it. Any player, bar maybe a couple, or any, the manager, the tactics, anything. It was all just completely shit yesterday, completely shit. I think in terms of the quotes, whatever, we got to them. Oh, this was the other one with Casemiro. So his wife posted this on Instagram yesterday. She posted a picture of all of his accolades and all of his trophies. I don't know if you guys saw this because everyone, I guess, was hounding him. But okay, cool. Like it's one of those ones. What does that really do or mean? He was terrible yesterday. He was really poor last season too. It's not as if yesterday, like you go, I'll tell you what, people were really harshly criticizing Casemiro. I mean, he was responsible for 2 goals. And last season, there was massive discussions about, his legs going and what have you. And once again, the criticism's back. Football's a what have you done for me lately business. You're only as good as your last match, right? And that's what people get lost in all of the criticism, isn't it? People, when you criticize players and then they go, yeah, so you saying about this player, they've won this, and this. Well, okay, but what are they doing now? The game was yesterday. That game wasn't the 2016 Champions League final, was it? It wasn't. It was Manchester United versus Liverpool on September 1st in 2024 at Old Trafford. Casemiro's had a fantastic career. He's had an immense career. He's won a lot. And people, I think it was Jamie Carragher mentioned it. It's sad to see that. It's sad to see a big name, big player like that. One, give the ball away, and the second goal, flat on his face. I mean, literally that when I saw him on the floor for that second one, flat on his face, sort of scrabbling around like a fish out of water, I went, oh my goodness. I went, oh, that's a sight, isn't it? That is a sight. And as I mentioned earlier on, he got hooked at halftime for a kid, an academy player with barely any Premier League experience. And the reason the manager said is because we just needed legs, because he can move around. Against Liverpool in the Premier League for Manchester United, then the manager goes, I needed someone that could run. I needed someone that could move. If that's not an indictment on Casemiro's career, then I don't know what is. The only thing you would say is then if he can't move or he can't run, then why is he playing in the first place? If that's the legitimate concern, So when Ugarte is registered and he can play, then logically you think, well, Casemiro then isn't going to get a game at all, is he? Because he can't run, according to his own manager. He can't move. And bear in mind, he's like the highest paid player at the club, which once again isn't Casemiro's fault. But certainly that is, talk about sins of the past. No wonder. And we wonder, I tell you what, we couldn't sell Casemiro this summer. I wonder why. Because even Saudi looked at that deal and went, I'm not touching that. You kidding me? And Casemiro probably can't believe it. It's like 340K a week. I'm kind of finished as well. It's just, it's mad. Mad. A couple more super chats here, then we'll wrap things up. Did I read the one from Fraser D? Said if we had Liverpool's midfield, we would have still lost with that setup. And United One says Cass is more than justified for the post. It was his wife. He's been scapegoated for Eric Ten Hag's system failure. We look worse without him. If it's not him, it's Rashford or Nana. But this is the thing, yeah. United One. It's not. Can we get away from this? This is why this. I really don't want to do this again, where it's like player FC versus manager FC. It's everyone. Clearly, it is everyone. Clearly, it is everyone. It's the manager, his system, and also some of those players yesterday are just not good enough as well. Not good enough, And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't think this whole they're being scapegoated. Casemiro was at fault for 2 of the goals. He can absolutely get the criticism, just as Eric Ten Hag is getting the criticism for it. We've got to move out of this thing of when we're criticizing one person, that means we're not criticizing someone else. Everyone's been criticized for yesterday, as they should. Everyone is being criticized for yesterday, as they should, because they deserve the criticism. Eric Ten Hag's getting it. His tactics are getting it. Casemiro's getting it. Bruno's getting it. Rashford's getting it. Xerxes getting it. Onana's getting it. Everyone. And you might as well just put them all in, all of them. So it's not like, this person, it's not as if for the last, 24 hours, only everyone's been talking about Casemiro. They've been talking about everyone. They've been talking literally everyone because everyone deserves it. And what we definitely can't do is come out of it and be like, oh yeah, that was just, we only lost yesterday because of Casemiro. No, that's not what happened. You know what I mean? We lost yesterday because we were the inferior team. Our tactics were wrong. Our manager got it wrong. Our players didn't show up, and a lot of them can't actually pass a fucking ball. That's why we lost yesterday. And we need to get out of this person being scapegoated. Or Casemiro's been scapegoated. Rashford's being scapegoated. I don't know. Xerxes now being scapegoated. Bruno's being scapegoated. Who else has been? Eric's being scapegoated. It's actually someone else's fault. Everyone needs to take accountability. So there you go, guys. Flex with his cameo, with his internet dying. A bit like Manchester United yesterday as well. So big up to everyone that tuned in. A lot of opinion, a lot of talk, and a lot of emotion at the moment in the United fan base. A reminder, we'll be back later on, 7 p.m., the red carpet. There's going to be a lot going on there, of course. There's going to be Flex, KG, myself, Saeed, Adam, Alice. We're all going to be there. The Uvengers, whatever you guys were calling it last week, will be here 7 p.m. And there's going to be a lot to discuss at the time. So be sure to join us later on for that. Smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. And hopefully Flex's internet's working by then. We're out of here. Peace.